Everybody got a calculator? If you don't have a calculator, I got a couple up here. Grab those because I like leading the stuff, but I don't do the calculations. I need y'all's help with that. The limiting reactant 2 practice today. Let's see. And so the first yesterday's practice was called limiting reactant, but we didn't really talk about limiting reactant. So today we're going to actually talk about how to find the limiting reactant. Yeah, there's only 4, so I'm gonna make up a question here, and then I'll do the first question with you. So let's use my formula I like using. So hydrogen and oxygen making water. Right. So the purpose for finding a limiting reactant is sometimes you have, instead of, remember yesterday we talked about excess. Excess means you're not going to run out. Well, sometimes you don't know that you have excess. Sometimes you just have 2 amounts and you don't know whether or not you're going to run out. So let's say we have 10 liters of hydrogen gas and 10 liters of oxygen gas. And I want to know how many moles of water I'm going to make. Okay? So I got to figure out which of these 2 amounts am I going to use to be able to find out my water. Let's go back to my Big Mac. Okay, remember Big Mac was 3 buns plus 2 patties. Something that yields 1 Big Mac. Okay, so three buns plus 2 patties yields 1 Big Mac. Okay, so for example, if I have 12 buns and 12 patties, how many Big Macs can I make?
4.
Wow.
Because you have 3 buns for 12 patties divided by 4.
Okay, so if I just look at buns,
Yeah.
I can make 4 Big Macs.
You don't have to look at the patties.
Why don't I have to look at the patties?
Because it's how many you can make, and you can only make a certain amount of buns. I mean, a certain amount of Big Macs with the buns you have.
So if I just look at the buns, I can make 4 Big Macs. If I just look at the patties and assume I have plenty of buns, I can make how many Big Macs?
6.
Okay. So taking what Mr. Steiner just said and making it a little bit bigger there, why can't I make 6 Big Macs from 12 buns and 12 patties?
You don't have enough buns.
Because I'm going to run out of buns. Another word for running out of something is limiting. Okay, so when I find my limiting reactant, what I'm doing is I'm figuring out what I'm going to run out of. Because if I'm not going to run out of it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I got 12 patties because I'm not going to run out of it. I'm still going to have more. Okay, so let's look at my example up here. To be able to figure out whether or not I'm going to run out, I need to change to moles. So the first thing I'm always going to do for finding a limiting reactant, change to moles, okay, with what I have. So I have 10 liters of hydrogen and 10 liters of oxygen. Okay? I'm going to change them both to moles. What's going on the bottom?
Liters.
Liters. Liters of O2 and liters of H2. And I'm changing them both to moles. Look over there. What's my magic number?
22.4.
22.4. And how many moles?
1.
1 mole, 22.4 liters. 1 mole, 22.4 liters. So I gave you an easy one here because the math's going to be the same for both of them. Both of them are going to be 10 divided by 22.4. Should be able to do that math pretty quick and easy. Might hook me up.
2.24.
Sound good? 2.24 moles here and 2.24 moles here. Now, the second step, once I get my moles, is to divide by your coefficients. I know it looks like a bunch of trash, but you know what coefficient is. Where's my coefficient?
Your twos.
Big numbers right here, 2, 1, 2. So for hydrogen, I'm going to divide 2.24 by 2. And for oxygen, I'm going to divide 2.24 by
1.
1. All right? You don't even have to do this math, and let me show you why. Because the third step, your lowest number is limited. Now, why would I say I don't have to do this math? Which is going to be lower?
1.
Something divided by 2 or something divided by 1?
Divided by 2.
So which one's limiting? Hydrogen or oxygen? Hydrogen is going to be limited. Okay? And then we got to go back to my question. I'm going to use 2.24 moles to change to this mole. Well, that's going to be some pretty easy math. I'll put it down here in red so you can see the difference. 2.24 moles of hydrogen. Moles of hydrogen on the bottom. Moles of water on the top. Where do I get my numbers when I go from moles to moles?
Coefficients.
How many moles of hydrogen?
2.
How many moles of water?
2.
What's 2 divided by 2?
1.
What's anything times 1?
Same thing.
So what's the answer?
2.24.
2.24 moles. That's it. Now, first couple examples that you have on the paper, I think just straight up give you moles. So let's check those out. Questions? I know there's a bunch of vomit on the screen here, but that's why I had some people tell me that at home that said that they don't understand what we're doing. If you find yourself forgetting how to do this, watch the videos. I'm doing it with you. I'm taking you through the steps. If you don't know what I'm doing in a certain step of the video, speak up. When you did this, why did you do it? Okay. So let's look at number 1 on your practice for today. Consider the following reaction. Eleven oxygens, not H, yields 2 Fe2O3s and 8 sulfates, or 8 sulfur dioxides. All right, so it says we have 26.2 moles of FeS2 and 5.44 moles of oxygen. And the question wants to know how many moles of SO2. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is find out my limiting reactant. Good news. What was the first step that I just wrote down at finding your limiting reactant?
Turn it into moles.
Good. What's the good news?
It's already done.
It's already done for us. So they already changed it to moles for us. So step 1 is done. Step 2 is divide your moles by the coefficient. So 26.2 divided by 4 and 5.44 divided by 11. Now, this is another one, in my opinion, that you probably don't have to do this math, because I only care about which number is
Lower.
and you can look at that and tell.
It's going to be 5.44.
Everybody see that? A smaller number divided by a bigger number is going to be much lower than a bigger number divided by a smaller number. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm a big fan of looking at math and making it make sense rather than always needing to get the number. By all means, plug that into your calculator to make sure. Okay? But I'm a big fan of looking at it and saying, hey, this one is obviously going to be lower. So my limiting reactant is oxygen. Okay? Because that's question number, or letter B on question 1. Yes, sir.
I don't get how you got 26.2 and 5.44.
It's in the question.
Okay.
Well, you're gonna have the computer in a second. Yeah, it's straight up in the question. It tells it to you. Thank you. That's the 8. That's what I want to hear. Okay. I don't know about that shirt though. I just noticed that.
What's wrong with South City?
Yeah. All right. Everybody good? All right. So now we got to get the answer, which is how many moles of SO2. So the only number on this board that matters to figure out how many moles of SO2 is what?
8.
Well, that's going to matter eventually, but that's not what I'm going to start with. Let me get this out of my way so I can see. Because this is, the only reason I did that was to figure out that fact. So I have, yeah, you got a bunch of coefficients up there, and 8 is going to matter in a second. But what's the only amount number that I care about right now?
5.44.
5.44. Why not 26.2?
This is not the LOR.
If it's not limiting, it's, what was the word I gave you
Doesn't
yesterday?
matter.
If you're not going to run out of it, what word did I use? Excess. And if it's excess, it doesn't matter. Okay? So 26.2, I don't care that I have 26.2 moles because I'm not going to run out of it. It's just like the 6 patties. Doesn't matter. Okay? Only thing I care about is 5.44 moles of oxygen. Moles of oxygen on the moles of sulfur dioxide on the top. How many moles of oxygen?
11.
Everybody see why I got it? Everybody see 11 in oxygen? And then for sulfur dioxide,
8.
what's my math?
5.44 times 8 divided by 11.
Multiply across the top, divided by what's on the bottom. 5.44 times 8, divided by 11. My guess is something like 4 point something.
3.95.
3.95. That's 4 point something. I'm rounding up, right?
Yeah.
3.95 moles of sulfate, and you just did number 1 on your practice. Yeah, I take math. That math that matches my shirt, but it ain't as comfy as this math. Can't breathe through it. Much
This
better.
job takes a long time to do.
All right. That's it.
Yes.
Get you started on the next one? Roll on, Mr. Steiner. Roll on tonight. Let me hear from some other folks, okay? So let's look at this. 2 aluminums plus 6 hydrobromic acids, I think was in it. 2 aluminum bromides. And 3 hydrogen. All right, 3.22 moles of aluminum reacts with 4.96 moles of viscous. How many moles of H2 are formed? All right, change the moles. Good news. It's already done. Okay. So my moles are up there. All I'm going to do is check my moles, divide them by my coefficients. 3.22 divided by 2. 4.96 divided by 6. I got a good idea what's lower, but you might want to type this one in. Well, actually, you don't need to type it in. Why?
The number 6 is bigger than.
Yeah, your denominator is bigger than your numerator. What does that mean in math class? If your denominator is bigger than your numerator,
It's going to be a decimal.
your answer is going to be less than 1. Okay, your answer is going to be less than 1, whereas on the top, my answer is going to be more than 1, which means this number is lower, which means what's my limiting reactant? What's your limiting reactant? Matthew, Martin, Derek, Ashley. 50-50 shot. HBr or AL? Okay, AL is going to have this number right here, which is going to be 1.6. This number right here is going to be 0.7 something. Which number is lower?
So it's the lowest, not the
The
largest.
lowest, easy to remember. Low limiting. LR, lowest number limiting. HBr is your limiting reactant. And then let me write it, right? And so you're gonna use that number right there to figure out that number right there. Yep. All right, let's try some of these recipes on your own. Finish this one on your own. That's 2.5 problems on your own, and I'll give you some good credit. Anybody at home, check out the video. If you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to let me know. And we will see y'all next week. Probably take a test on this sometime Wednesday or Thursday next week.